festival's been running for 15 years, but in fact it's the successor of a much older wine show that's been running since the 1970s. So in a sense, we've seen a whole generation of change. The challenge is, of course, to bring a new generation of wine-interested people into the environment, and the success has been that it's happened. When I look back at the 2000 edition of WineX, the first one of the, of this particular format, I guess the average age of the room was 50 plus, and you can bet everyone was white. If you look at the room now, the average age is much closer, I would think, to 30, and it really does reflect the cross-section of the South African community. We don't design it around the theme, but the message which came over in the commercial and in the room wrap is that there is a wine for every palate, and the palate for every wine, in this case meaning a flavor spectrum that will appeal to everyone. Find the wine you like, and you will like wine. We have a small international wine selection, and we like to see it in the room because, of course, it gives consumers a broader perspective on what happens in the world of wine. So we have many of the same varieties that you would find growing in South African vineyards, from Sauvignon Blanc or Cabernet or Chardonnay. We have the international versions, whether they are Chardonnays from Burgundy, Sauvignon Blanc from the Loire Valley, and Cabernet from Bordeaux. And consumers who come to WineX are able, therefore, to make a comparison and see how our wines compare stylistically and qualitatively with the international example. It is far and away the largest festival in the country. We think, in fact, it's the largest wine festival in the Southern Hemisphere. It may even be the largest in the world. It is entirely consumer-driven. The exhibitors come here to engage with consumers, not with trade customers, not with people who are still going to really on-sell the wine. It is a moment for South African wine drinkers to meet the country's winemakers, the country's wine producers, the country's wine proprietors. And it comes at a perfect time of the year, because end of October, beginning of November is when people start making their festive season purchases, and when the producers have their new vintage that they want to show to the cutting-edge consumers, which is, of course, what we find here in Gauteng.